It's a well-known fact that Calvin loves me. Since puppy love was not allowed in high school, he staged a so-called secret love that everyone could see through to assert his sovereignty. Later, in order to attend the same university as me, he, who was a poor student, studied extremely hard and managed to get into a key university. His parents even came to thank me. Before our marriage, he transferred all of his family property to my name and jokingly said that he would always be my employee. However, this man, whose pocket money depended on me, actually had an affair and supported another woman. By the time I found out, their child was almost born. I was on a business trip in another place and didn't feel well. After being taken to the hospital by my colleague, I found out that I was pregnant. Just as I was about to call Calvin to share the joy, I saw him, who shouldn't have been there, supporting a woman with a pregnant belly in the distance. The phone that I hadn't had time to hang up was answered. "Baby, what's wrong?" His voice was as gentle as ever. And he affectionately called me baby right in front of that woman. I saw that the woman looked a bit disappointed when she heard his words. The next second, she coquettishly tugged at his sleeve, and then he held her mischievous hand. "Where are you?" He replied with ease. "Baby, have you forgotten? I'm going to inspect the industrial park today." "What's the matter?" We were in the same hospital, acting on both ends of the phone. "Oh, I forgot. I suddenly remembered that I'll be a bit late coming home tomorrow. You don't have to pick me up." He was still there, asking with concern if I had encountered any problems. And the woman beside him, probably having heard my words on the phone, had happily wrapped her arms around his waist and started to be affectionate. I casually responded a few words and then hung up, for fear that I couldn't control my emotions and he would notice. I hid in the corner and watched as Calvin put his arm around that woman, stroked her belly, and said something. She smiled happily. What an enviable family of 3. I thought he really didn't like children. Due to physical reasons, I had difficulty conceiving. He patiently coaxed me. "Then we can enjoy a world for 2. Children are so troublesome. It's just as well they don't come." In order not to put pressure on me, he took on the voices of those who urged us to have children all by himself. He said to his parents, "If you like children, you can have a second child. I don't mind having more younger siblings." His father kicked him directly. My mother, as a traditional housewife, was afraid that I would be looked down upon by Calvin's family because I couldn't have children. She was already worried that I would be looked down upon because I married into a better family. Now that I hadn't had a child for a long time, she became superstitious and went to find folk remedies for me. When Calvin found out, he solemnly promised my mother that it was his problem and told her not to give me any random medicine. He said that if we couldn't have a child, we could adopt one. After all, they were all children. And it was better not to have to go through the hardship of giving birth ourselves. His love was so overwhelming that I never doubted him. When did he start having an affair? Who was this woman? I knew nothing about it. All I could remember clearly was the happy smile on his face as he stroked the woman's pregnant belly at that moment. I put away the pregnancy test form and had to carefully consider what to do next. In the next 2 days, Calvin kept in touch with me as usual, making 3 calls a day. These used to be very ordinary calls. But now I couldn't help wondering if there was a woman leaning happily against him on the other end of the phone. Would he be with that woman and their child? A sweet family of 3 after the call? Would he echo and say that he only loved their baby when that woman laughed at me for not having a child? I found that I couldn't help but attribute all the worst aspects of human nature to Calvin. The original 3-day business trip was deliberately extended by me for another 2 days. I needed time to prepare myself for facing him. I had told him not to pick me up, but I still saw him when I got out at the station. When he saw me, he opened his arms to hug me as he usually did. "Why did it take you so long to come back? You left your husband here all alone." He babbled on about how much he missed me. And I felt a wave of nausea in my heart. Since when did he start telling lies so casually? While I was on a business trip, he was meeting his mistress. But he made it sound like he was waiting for me like Wang Baochu on waiting in the cold kiln. I endured the discomfort and raised my hand to hug him back. I uncontrollably am mad and the scene of him hugging that woman, almost in a self-abusive way. I pushed him away, and our etched. His face changed. He looked at me with concern. And then he suddenly became overjoyed. Vivian? Are you pregnant? Then he told the driver in front to drive slowly. I had a mad and many scenes of us having a child. But now, when I thought about it, I felt even more disgusted. He was so familiar with the reactions of pregnancy. Did he learn that from that woman? I didn't want him to know. So I shook my head and denied it. No. I just ate something bad during the business trip and felt a bit uncomfortable. Not feeling well? Then let's go to the hospital first. Uncle Zhang. He turned his head and was about to ask the driver to turn around. No need. I interrupted him. I've already been to the hospital. There's no need to go through all that again. The mental preparation I had made was disrupted when I saw him. I closed my eyes wearily and leaned back on the seat to rest, refusing to talk. When we got home, he attentively helped me sort out my suitcase and ran a bath for me. He often did these things. And even the family nanny praised him as a good husband. I watched him bussing around and suddenly asked him, Calvin, do you remember how many years we've been together? He was busy with his hands and didn't look up. 13 years. Why? Are you going to celebrate some anniversary for me? 13. What an unlucky number. I murmured to myself. He turned around with a smile when he heard me and lifted my face to kiss me. Come on. Why are you being superstitious too? What's wrong with 13? We'll be together forever. I looked up into his affectionate home and shaped eyes. Calvin, if you fall in love with someone else, you have to tell me in advance. Our relationship of so many years deserves a good ending where we part on good terms. As I said this, I stared at his face. However, there wasn't even a trace of guilt in his expression. He solemnly held my hand and promised. I only like you. What's wrong with you? Did you encounter something unpleasant during the business trip? I love you. I've loved you since the first day I saw you. I've loved you for 15 years. But you've only loved me for 13 years. You still owe me 2 years. So are you trying to make up for these 2 years with someone else? I asked myself this in my heart but didn't say it out loud. Then will you always love me and only me? He hesitated for a moment and then replied firmly. Of course. I only love you. Despite his firm answer, I only cared about that moment of hesitation. Who was it because of? I smiled and withdrew my hand. I'm going to take a bath first. I sank myself into the bathtub. The moment I cut off the air made me more determined and to make a choice. People can do several things at the same time. So it doesn't seem strange that one can love two people at the same time. He treats others the way he treats me. Why should I keep pestering him? I've always remembered the promise we made before getting married. To be always loyal to each other. You betrayed me first, Calvin. At night. Because I wasn't feeling well. He didn't pester me. Hearing his even breathing, I picked up his phone. He never set a password to keep me out. And of course, I never checked up on him or rummaged through his phone. So, I easily found the other person in his phone without any concealment. The woman's profile picture was boldly displayed in front of me. The profile picture made her look younger than the real person I saw in the hospital. Probably because she didn't dress up during pregnancy. Their chats were just like when we were in love. He gave her the nickname Mommy and the baby. They sweetly prepared things for the upcoming baby together online. Guessed whether the baby would be a boy or a girl. And wondered who the baby would look like. It seemed that I, who was looking at the phone at that moment, was the thief peeking into their happiness. Scrolling up, their beginning was very cliche, between an intern and a young and promising general manager. When faced with the young woman's confession of love, he firmly refused at first. I'm married. And I love my wife very much. But he didn't delete her. Instead, he allowed her to stay and let her continue to admire him. The girl's persistence touched him. And he began to respond. The girl told him that her birthday wish was to spend the day with him. Just this one wish. Isn't that okay? I just want to spend my birthday with the person I like. I promise I won't bother you anymore in the future. Calvin didn't refuse. She really didn't bother him anymore. After that day, she resigned and left. Later, the two of them got back in touch because of the unexpected pregnancy that night. It was like a cliche and melodramatic idol drama. It would have been perfect if his wife, didn't exist. I watched his love story with another person like a bystander, more carefully than when I recalled my own love history. I even took the time to think about what I was doing when they were doing certain things. I looked up and saw myself in the bathroom. I was 30 years old. Indeed, I couldn't compare with a young and beautiful woman in her early 20s. But Calvin, this is no excuse for you to betray me. Calvin and I met in high school. I had been transferring to different schools in various places with my parents' work since I was a child. Later, I returned to my hometown in the second year of high school because of the upcoming college entrance examination. Due to frequent school transfers, I didn't like to get too close to my classmates. After all, we would part ways eventually. So why start a relationship? So, when Calvin approached me in a high-profile manner, I was very annoyed. I hated all intimate relationships that went beyond the boundaries. The classmates in the class joined in the teasing, as if I was being forced towards him. Puppy love was not allowed in high school, and I just wanted to study hard. So, I directly asked the head teacher to transfer to another class. Unexpectedly, that carefree Calvin came to apologize to me directly when he heard about it. He promised me that he wouldn't disturb my studies, and said that he would get into the same university as me. Although I had just transferred to the school, I had already heard of his reputation. He came from a wealthy family but didn't like studying. The teacher's minimum requirement for him was that he could sleep in class without disrupting it. For such a person to say that he would study hard was like telling a joke. I didn't take it seriously. Anyway, having fulfilled my obsession, it wasn't easy to transfer classes. And it would be better if he didn't bother me. Unexpectedly. From then on, he focused on listening to the class attentively and even seriously asked questions in a proper manner. He moved his seat behind mine. Since he asked questions politely, I couldn't refuse him with a cold face. So, we started to communicate like this. He would give me a piece of fruit or a piece of candy after asking a question, saying it was a token of gratitude. I had no experience in dating and wasn't good at rejecting others. Later, I learned that in school, this was more or less like feeding one's girlfriend. Throughout high school until graduation, in my perception, he and I weren't in a romantic relationship. We just had a simple relationship of mutual help. Then, what almost say? On the day of graduation, he made a high-profile confession. I had no reason to refuse anymore. And since he was really nice, I accepted. Only then did he proudly say how he had declared his sovereignty and didn't allow others to get close to me. I don't consider myself a beauty. But in his description, there were many people competing with him for me. And he secretly threw away a lot of love letters that I didn't know about. Vivian, you have no idea how your cold and distant demeanor that keeps people at arm's length has aroused the conquest desire of many boys. My desk mate exclaimed exaggerated after hearing me say this. I saw with my own eyes Calvin take those love letters out of your desk and tear them up. He also warned me not to tell you. You know. Calvin was the school bully. Although he reformed and started studying hard, I was still scared, so I didn't dare to say a word. His parents also knew about me. And they even invited me to the teacher appreciation banquet. I said they were grateful to me for helping their son. And his mother even looked at me with the expression of someone looking at their future daughter-in-law. As a student who had just finished the college entrance examination, I was completely at a loss. I really thought it was just a simple expression of gratitude. Later, we went to the same university. Although we were in different majors, he was very clingy. Everyone in our college knew that I had a clingy boyfriend. He would come to accompany me to class whenever he had time. With so many people in the university, he made it so high profile that the whole school knew about it. At that time, he really had me in his heart and eyes. But this wasn't a one-sided effort. I had also been brave for him. He had a domineering and impulsive personality. Once, after they finished playing basketball and went to a dinner gathering, they got into a conflict with others. When I arrived, I happened to see the other person raising a wine bottle behind him, about to smash it on him. Without thinking, I rushed over and hugged him to shield him from the wine bottle. Later, I had stitches on my head, and there is still a scar in the place where I had the stitches. And no hair grows there now. That was Calvin's last impulsive act. And it was also the first time I saw him cry. The second time was on our wedding day, when he was saying his vows. That overbearing young master from a wealthy family choked up and his eyes turned red. He said he would never let me down. Never let me down. I sneered and turned off the screen of his phone. Calvin. What kind of promises did you make in front of this woman named Luna? I watched their love story like self-torture while hiding in the bathroom. My heart went through cycles of being full of holes, bloody and torn, to healing and scabbing, over and over again, until my heart was completely numb. It turned out that when he said there was an urgent matter in the company, and he had to go on a business trip, it was because Luna had found out she was pregnant. And he had to be by her side to comfort her when she was scared. I was worried about him at home and he went out in the wind and rain. While they were embracing each other in the wind and rain, welcoming the new life. In their daily life, he promised to accompany her to every prenatal checkup. But he forgot that I had been going back and forth to the hospital to regulate my body. How long had he forgotten since he last accompanied me to the hospital? Every time he used the excuse of a business trip to accompany his mistress to a prenatal checkup. Did he ever have a moment when he thought of his own wife? When I called to show my concern for him while he was on a business trip, was he also saying gentle and caring words like he did in the hospital that day, while still soothing his mistress with his hands? Would the two of them secretly laugh at me? A fool who knew nothing? Thinking about it like this, I really was a joke. He clearly knew that my hope was to have a child. And I had suffered a lot for it. But he had a mistress behind my back and even had an illegitimate child with her. I stubbornly imagined those heart-knitting scenes. Tearing open the newly scabbed wound again. Making it bleed profusely. Pain is good. Pain makes people sober. The message notification sounded. The phone in my hand rang. It was a message from Luna. Daddy. Your baby kicked me again. It was so disgusting. I turned off the phone. I looked at my indifferent face in the mirror. Back in bed. I turned my head and by the dim moonlight, I really couldn't see the person beside me clearly anymore. Calvin, didn't you say you didn't like children? Or is it that you just don't like my children? Since you don't like them, then you'll never have to have them. Calvin is a man. Maybe he was naturally attracted to the admiration and adoration of young girls, which blinded him. However, no woman with a normal outlook on life would be a mistress. There must be some ulterior motive. Calvin is handsome and comes from a good family background. But it's well known that he has a wife and a family. In such a situation, if someone still tries to get close to him, besides money, I can't think of anything else they could be after. From their chat, I knew that Luna hadn't worked since she left Calvin's family company. That is to say, when she left, she was already confident that she could catch Calvin, the wealthy man. If Luna knew that I was in control of Calvin's property, would she still have a child for love? I'm really looking forward to it. I tentatively posted a few statuses showing affection on the social platform. Sure enough, she had been paying attention to me. And soon she couldn't sit still after learning about it. I looked at the unfamiliar call on my phone and swiped to answer it. Mrs. Calvin. Let's meet. She was quite smart. After seeing the status I posted, she knew that I already knew about her existence. The girl in her early 20s was very beautiful and full of vitality. Even with a big belly, she couldn't hide her youthful aura. I turned to look at my reflection in the French window. I really looked like the old and faded first wife in an ancient big family. I was amused by my own thought. Luna thought I was laughing at her and frowned. What are you laughing at? Since I adjusted my mindset and got through the hurdle of betrayal, I wouldn't be easily affected by these two people's actions. I really am a cold-hearted person. I shook my head and smiled bitterly. I'm not laughing at you for being a mistress at such a young age. I just think it's funny that I'm sitting here with you in this situation. Maybe I shouldn't have come. After seeing her, I actually felt a sense of absurdity. As if an old witch was about to bully a little girl. When she heard the word mistress, a flash of anger appeared in her eyes. And then she immediately became proud. I'm carrying the only child of the Calvin family. As for you, you'll soon be discarded. I won't argue with you. She raised her hand and stroked her belly in front of me. I smiled and watched her being proud. She continued to provoke me. I know you're old and can't have children. It's really pitiful. But you can't hold back President Calvin's life either. You have no idea how much President Calvin likes children. He always looks at the prenatal checkup reports for a long time, wishing the baby could be born right away. President Calvin has already started looking up words in the dictionary to choose a name for the baby. He's really an eager father. He always regretted not having a child. And now I'm going to help him make up for this regret. Hearing these words, even though I had already decided to harden my heart, I still felt a slight sting. He made solemn vows to me on one hand, and on the other hand, he turned around and laughed at his wife with his mistress, saying that she was old and couldn't have children. Calvin, when you come back to face me after having a secret meeting with your mistress, don't you feel even the slightest bit of guilt? I took a deep breath and suppressed the soreness in my heart. Oh, is that so? Congratulations then. Seeing that I wasn't as angry as she had imagined, but instead calm and composed, she looked at me with doubt and vigilance. Why aren't you angry? Sure enough, as President Calvin said, you're a cold person. Calvin, what on earth did you say about your own wife in private to your mistress? I was too lazy to continue with her. I stood up and looked at her. Well, then you can use your passionate love to melt him. I hope you get what you want. I wish you a happy family and a carefree life. I lowered my eyes and glanced at her belly. She failed to make me angry, but instead was angered by my condescending attitude. I smiled at her. You called me an old woman. But you'll also grow old one day. If age is the reason for being abandoned, and one end, can you escape it? Besides, what makes you think I would try to save a dirty piece of trash? Luna was disdainful after hearing my words and insisted that I was just pretending. After walking some distance, I could still hear her voice chasing after me. Vivian, you're just jealous of me. I sounded free and easy when I spoke, but I was still a bit disappointed in my heart. Calvin, having fulfilled what, if you were going to cheat, you could have found someone better. Why did you choose someone like this? I told him today that I had an appointment to go shopping with a friend. He even complained that his wife didn't accompany him when he was resting as I was going out. Just as I thought of him, his phone call came. Vivian, when will you be back? I turned around and looked at Luna, who was sending a message on her phone behind me. I guessed she was sending a message to Calvin. I was considerate enough to give them space for their secret meeting. We're going to watch a movie in the afternoon and have dinner in the evening. He complained a few words and then hung up. In the car, through the car window, I saw Luna on the phone. I guessed the other side was Calvin. Her face was beaming with a smile. This feeling of watching my husband cheat while still being in control of the situation really gives me a secret sense of excitement. Since Luna didn't manage to provoke me today, she will definitely try to make up for it with Calvin. Maybe she will force him to take action and try to take my place. She was so confident that her child was the dragon's son of the Calvin family. She definitely wouldn't miss the opportunity to use her pregnancy to rise in status. Sure enough, within 2 days, Calvin's mother found out that Calvin had an illegitimate grandson outside. But Luna miscalculated. Calvin's mother hates mistresses the most. Back then, there were female employees like Luna who thought they could get close to Calvin more easily. Later, before Calvin's mother could take action, Calvin's father, who loved his wife dearly, sent them away. I heard that female employee was blacklisted in the whole industry. At the moment, all I need to do is to act like a wife who has been betrayed and hurt by her husband. Previously, although Calvin's mother hoped to have a grandson, she didn't urge us. It was Calvin who realized this issue after hearing my mother ask when we would have a child. At the family dinner that day, he took the initiative and said that he wanted children and even suggested that Calvin's father and Calvin's mother have a second child. He was immediately kicked by Calvin's father, who thought he was being disrespectful. At this moment, Calvin's father and Calvin's mother looked at Calvin, who was kneeling on the ground, with disappointment. They directly said that they wouldn't recognize the child born to some random woman outside. I didn't look at him. I lowered my head with a hurt expression. Calvin was scolded and punished. In the evening, he still came to me with his injuries and begged for forgiveness. I took out the divorce agreement from my bag. Let's get a divorce. I had wanted to say this since I saw him accompanying his mistress to a prenatal checkup in the hospital. After preparing for so long, I finally said it. Calvin seemed not to have heard clearly. He was stunned for a moment, and then forced an ugly smile. Vivian, what are you talking about? I looked into his eyes, and said word by word, I said, let's get a divorce. I used to like looking at myself in his eyes the most. Looking at my own reflection in those sincere and passionate pupils. I once thought I was loved and was the happiest person. Now, seeing the panic in his eyes, I suddenly recalled the way he confessed his love after the college entrance examination. At that time, he vowed to others that I was the only one for him. But the image of that young man holding flowers and playing the guitar to confess his love, imitating others, was deeply engraved in my mind. He was confident, assertive, and radiant, with a trace of panic in his eyes for fear of being rejected. It turns out that both gaining and losing can make people feel flustered. I'll deal with her. We're not getting a divorce. I don't agree. You're not allowed to leave me. Seeing my determination, he hugged me tightly in a panic. I placed my hand on the whip marks on his back and heard him inhale sharply. Calvin's father didn't show any mercy. His shirt was torn, and the seeping blood stained the fabric on his back red. Does it hurt? I also felt a great deal of pain when I saw you accompanying her for the prenatal checkup that day. His body froze. As if I didn't notice. I continued. Your mistress asked to meet me, and told me the affectionate words between you two. Did you also hold her like this, and look forward to the birth of the child together? My words finally drained his strength. And his hand dropped. He knew me well. Just as I knew him. At this point, he had no way to defend himself. He still wanted to struggle and pleaded, I don't want the child anymore. I'll ask her to have an abortion. Let's pretend this never happened. Give me another chance. I just made a mistake once. Can't I have a chance to correct it? I was just bewitched for a moment. I saw how much suffering you endured to get pregnant. When I heard she was pregnant, I thought. What did you think? I looked at the man who was still making excuses, and said, you don't really think I'll accept the illegitimate child of my cheating husband as my own? Do you? It's really ridiculous. I'd rather raise a dog than the illegitimate child born to a mistress. My almost insulting words made Calvin's face turn ashen. The once haughty President Calvin was now kneeling on the ground begging. I should have been happy. But I felt even more sorry for myself, since he knew the consequences. Why did he still make a mistake? Men are really despicable and forgetful creatures. I've looked at your phone. Although she was indeed trying to seduce you, it was you who gave her the opportunity. His insistence on not agreeing was getting on my nerves. In order to achieve my goal, I forced myself to speak softly to him despite my annoyance. I can't accept my husband having an affair. I can give you one chance. Hearing this, his eyes lit up, and before I could say anything more, he readily agreed. I stopped him from expressing his determination and said, we'll get a divorce first. Just like I allowed you to get close to me in the first place. I'll give you another chance to pursue me. Otherwise, based on the existing evidence, I can also achieve the goal of getting a divorce by suing for divorce. But I won't be able to control the impact of your scandal. After hearing this, Calvin immediately agreed. Taking advantage of his height and emotions, we quickly divided the property. Anyway, everything in his name was already mine. And he really left the marriage with nothing. As soon as Luna heard that Calvin was divorced, she wasted no time coming to show off. She was in such a hurry. So I told her an even better piece of news. Then congratulations to you too. You'll soon be struggling together for your little family. Because Calvin has become a penniless man. She didn't believe it. After all, Calvin was the only son of the Calvin family and the heir that everyone believed was a certainty. I guess she went to find Calvin. And it took her a while to reply. She was just a young girl. But she swore a lot. Finally, having fulfilled my entire, she said triumphantly. So what? The child in my belly is of the Calvin family's blood. All the things of the Calvin family will belong to my child. What you took can be regarded as your reward. Laugh if you want. I hope you can laugh until the end. I've already shown the pregnancy test report to Calvin's mother. With a legitimate grandchild on the way. How could she favor the child born to a despised mistress? With the baby in my belly that hadn't shown yet, I completed a series of things from discovering the mistress to getting a divorce within a month. I even admire myself. Since the divorce, Calvin seems to be truly determined and to win me back. He not only calls to show his concern every day but also tries to move into my house to take care of me after learning that I'm pregnant. I politely declined. He's just a trouble to me now. I guess since she couldn't get in touch with Calvin, Luna actually started harassing me. Sometimes she scolded me for still clinging to Calvin after the divorce. And sometimes she begged me to have pity on her and the child in her belly, and stop having any lingering feelings for Calvin. Whoever creates the trouble should solve it. I sent Calvin screenshots of Luna's text messages and WeChat messages and blocked both of them at the same time. I originally kept their contact information just to watch the fun between them. Now that they're annoying me, I might as well block them. It's not as interesting as a TV drama anyway. Calvin's mother often comes to visit me. She thinks her son has let me down, so she often comes with a lot of gifts. So even though I blocked those two people, I still got some news. For example, Calvin gave Luna a sum of money to ask her to have an abortion, but she refused. She tried to approach the old folks. She actually went to Calvin's father and mother and cried and begged in front of them, asking them to have mercy on the child. She also swore that her relationship with Calvin was true love. With just one sentence, Calvin's mother made her give up the idea. Not to mention such a shameful grandson. Even if it were my own son, I don't want him now. She told Luna to find whoever she should. When Calvin heard that Luna had gone to the old mansion, he directly sent people to force her to have an abortion. In the end, she managed to break free. The child that the two of them used to look forward to with great affection is now seen by one as a bargaining chip to climb up the social ladder, and by the other as a stumbling block on the road to winning back his wife. In order to keep the child, Luna directly went to the company and made a scene. It wasn't until Calvin told her that I was pregnant and that all the property in the family would belong to the child in my belly that Luna rushed towards Calvin like a madwoman. During their argument, Luna fell and soon started bleeding. She didn't manage to keep the child. I heard that the two of them made a big scene. Calvin's parents actually let Calvin be pestered by her. Calvin's mother just said that he deserved it. He's had an easy life and never encountered any setbacks. It's good for him to suffer a little. If you've never stumbled, you'll always think you're invincible. Let him make a fuss now. Once he's had enough, he'll calm down. We can't let my grandson clean up the mess for his unreliable father in the future. Can we? Even before the child was born, Calvin's mother hinted that since her son was a lost cause, she would focus on raising her grandson. This is also what the child's grandfather thinks. Just accept the things given to you with peace of mind. Anyway, having fulfilled Lion's session, they'll all belong to my grandson in the future. As for Calvin, he's already a grown man, and we don't need to worry about him. I knew that my in-laws hated mistresses and infidelity, but I didn't expect them to be so tough on their own son. I silently accepted the things they gave me. The next time I saw Calvin, I was almost due to give birth. He looked dejected and was too cautious to get close. It's really sad to see the once high-spirited President Calvin in such a state. I heard that the company was affected by his extramarital affair with Luna, and the directors were very dissatisfied with him. Now he has stepped down as the general manager. He carefully looked at my belly, wanting to get closer but not daring to. Vivian. This wasn't the Calvin I remembered. Seeing him like this, all the remaining resentment in my heart suddenly vanished. The people we once loved are best left in our memories. Can I stay with you until the child is born? I simply refused. No need. I've already made all the arrangements. My parents and your parents are here. I don't really want to see you. When he heard my words, he still wanted to say something, but I interrupted him. Your presence will affect my mood. You don't want anything to happen to me and the baby, do you? Under my repeated refusals, he dejectedly lowered his head and didn't say anything more. However, there was still a small accident that day. Luna tried to gain something but ended up losing even more. She not only failed to take my place but also lost her fertility due to the abortion. She actually followed Calvin to the hospital and almost burst into the ward where I was waiting to give birth. No one expected that on that day. Luna would actually break into the hospital with a knife, acting like a madwoman. At that time, I was the only one in the ward. She hysterically questioned me why I had told her relatives and friends about her being a mistress, making her family lose face in the local area. "Why are you picking on me when your husband cheated? You should deal with your husband." When Calvin heard the commotion and came in to stop her. The last time we met, Luna was still full of confidence. But now she was crying. "Both you, who destroyed my marriage, and Calvin, who betrayed me, need to pay the price. Slapping him won't stop me from slapping you in the face as well." People outside heard the noise and came in. Luna, in a fit of madness, directly took out a fruit knife. Calvin stepped forward to stop her and was stabbed in the abdomen by her. I went into premature labor due to the shock. The ward was in chaos. Fortunately, having facility, I gave birth to my son, who was as small as a little monkey, safely. My mother had been very resentful towards the Calvin family because of the divorce. But this time, for the sake of her little grandson, she actually became amicable and, together with Calvin's mother, they argued about who the baby looked like. I looked around. Calvin wasn't there. Calvin's mother told me that Calvin was okay. The wound was relatively shallow and didn't hit any vital parts. My mother thought I was softening towards Calvin. After Calvin's parents left at night, she nagged at me, telling me not to forget the pain once the wound healed. My mother used to be very satisfied with Calvin, but now she hates him just as much. My mother used to think that our family was marrying above our station into the Calvin family, and always told me to behave well and be a good daughter-in-law of the Calvin family. But she also has a sore spot that can't be touched, which is infidelity. When I was young, my father was often on business trips and transfers for work. She was worried that my father would be seduced by women outside. She always took me with her and followed my father's work, being a full-time housewife and taking care of me and my father. I'm telling you, once a man cheats, it's like opening the floodgates, and it can't be stopped. Look at a neighbor we used to have. She forgave her cheating husband, but within a year, he cheated again. Later, when she caught him in the act, she drove herself crazy. Calvin may regret it now, but once you forgive him, he'll cheat again. Women who forgive infidelity won't be cherished. My mother's nagging was in my ears, and the breath of the little child was by my side. Life couldn't be more fulfilling than this. How could I let myself make the same mistakes again? Don't worry, Mom. I have both money and leisure now. How could I be so foolish as to trouble myself? I don't love him anymore. I just don't want anything bad to happen on the wonderful day when my son was born. After all, he is the biological father of the child. If my son's birthday turns into the anniversary of his biological father's death, how unlucky my son would be. As soon as I finished speaking, the figure outside the door froze, and then slowly left. My mother was very satisfied and picked up the child. It's time for the baby to have milk. This time, Calvin's parents didn't stand by and do nothing. They directly dealt with Luna by passing Calvin. Calvin has a strong and domineering personality, but he is indecisive in handling things. Otherwise, Luna wouldn't have been able to cause trouble again and again. This time, since Luna injured someone with a knife, she won't be able to get away so easily. The person who caused the trouble was locked up, but Calvin was immersed in his frustrated life. Calvin's parents and the Calvin family were annoyed by him and ordered that if he continued to look so downcast, he shouldn't appear in front of their grandson, as it would affect the child's growth. One day, I was holding Xiaobao and basking in the sun when Calvin, who rarely looked neat and tidy, showed up. There was a flattering look on his thin face. "Can I hold him?" Looking at his cautious appearance, I handed the child to him. He lowered his head, and I couldn't see his expression. Why did he have to wait until now if he knew it would come to this? "I heard that you made Xiaobao take the surname Fu." I smiled and said, "Why not? It's just a surname. It can make his grandparents happy. And he can also get more things. I'm a worldly person. I don't believe in the eternity of love at all. The benefits in my hands are the real things." After hearing my words, Calvin was silent for a long time. I'm sorry. If it weren't for me. Come on. I was impatient to reminisce about the past with him now. When I was with you, I was always worried that I couldn't repay your love. After you cheated, I actually felt relieved. I like my current life state better. This time, Calvin didn't just come to see me. He also came to say goodbye. I'm planning to go abroad. Calvin smiled, self-deprecating lie. I used to think I was omnipotent. But now I realize that I'm nothing. People think highly of me only because of my family background. I promised my dad that I won't come back until I achieve something. As he spoke, he lowered his head to amuse Xiaobao, who was babbling and looking at him. Dad is going to earn milk powder money for Xiaobao. I looked at him, feeling puzzled. My son didn't need his milk powder money. I've had a vasectomy, he said calmly. If it weren't for. He suddenly stopped. Forget it. Actions speak louder than words. I will show you my determination. In this life, Xiaobao is my only child. And I will work for Xiaobao from now on. I remembered his previous words about working for me and sneered. You'd better not say these things. Weren't the words you said before just a slap in the face? I didn't want him to use Xiaobao as an excuse. Calvin smiled bitterly. It seems that I have a negative credit rating in your eyes. It doesn't matter. I will show you with my actions. When he was about to leave, I called out to him. Calvin. He turned around. Against the light. I couldn't see his expression clearly. Live your own life well. I will do the same. Maybe if I meet the right person, I will also consider it. No one should trap themselves with a whim of a promise. Okay. His voice was hoarse. And the afterglow of the setting sun gave him an air of decay. I watched him walk into the twilight and gradually move away. Later, Calvin rarely came back. It seemed that he had exiled himself. However, that was his own life. I was no longer anyone in his life. Once we've drifted apart, we're no longer on the same path. Wishing each other well is the best outcome for both of us. The end.